I remember when I was going through my depression phase, if you want to call it that. It didn't matter if I was just eating my food, super plain and simple, or if I was sitting in my bed and grinding away at video games all day, or if I was sitting in my classroom doing my work. I'd always think to myself that I have no hope left. It doesn't matter how hard I try and become a different person, how hard I try to break old habits that I want to get rid of, try and start new habits that will benefit me. I'll never be able to do any of that, and I'm doomed to just go down the mundane, ordinary path. I convinced myself to not really think about my dreams and my aspirations I would have, to let go of them because they were super childish. They're not realistic to the person I am today. I would try and cope. I would say whatever I could, any logical reason I could give my brain to sink down this hopeless feeling that would reside in my heart. My brain would try and find every single excuse to sink into this hopeless feeling I would feel in my gut. I would even start to act differently just to, I guess, reinforce this hopeless feeling that I would feel. I would purposely continue to play video games even when I didn't want to, and I would skip the gym even if I wanted to go. I would purposefully continue to reinforce bad habits like TikTok doom scrolling or just watching hours of YouTube videos, and not do stuff that I wanted to do, like starting a YouTube channel or practicing my drawing, anything productive, all to reinforce this feeling of hopelessness, that I'm a lost cause, so to speak. But how messed up is that I wanted to get rid of this feeling, this terrible feeling, right? I'm feeling hopeless all the time, depressed, lazy. I'm feeling super sad and I hate myself. I want to get rid of this feeling, but I would actively, without me even realizing it, I would do things to maintain this feeling inside of me. Even when I wanted to get rid of it, some weird part of my brain would try and hold on to this feeling and keep it quelled down inside. And in doing so, it would reinforce those negative feelings. They would start to become stronger. And then the stronger feelings would want to retain themselves even more, right? So then it became even less likely that I would get rid of these bad habits, video gaming all day, not going to the gym at any time, doom scrolling on Instagram all day. And it all came down just from feeling hopeless, that I had no choice. I had no other option, because that's what hopelessness is. When I reflect back on old Isa Ahmed and I think what was going on in his mind to feel so hopeless, it was just a lack of options. He had a certain path laid down in front of him that his parents set for him, not then saying that that's bad or good, just it was a situation. He had a certain path raised in front of him, but he didn't know what he wanted to do, so he felt like he kind of had to do this certain thing, even without realizing that there were other options available to him. So that lack of options is what created the hopeless feeling. If you're watching this video because you feel hopeless, I want to tell you something. I got rid of my depression in 2 weeks. I took this quiz. It was some online quiz. It gave you a score out of 21 or something. I showed you how depressed you were. 21 being the worst, terrible human being. You should be in a psych ward, antidepressants. You should be locked away from society. And then number 0 is like, you're the happiest human being ever. You're like, I don't know, childlike happiness about everything. I was like a 20. I was like a 19 on the deep end. And then within 2 weeks, it got down to like 14 or 13. I took the same quiz again 2 weeks later. Of course, I was still having some negative beliefs about myself, 100%. I had years and years of terrible mental health to combat. I wasn't gonna just destroy it within 2 weeks, but I nearly halved it. Imagine that, 3 years plus of being depressed, hating myself, destroyed in 2 weeks. How'd you say that to your hopeless feeling, huh? It's very silly. Feel a certain way, it doesn't mean that it's true. That's what you're gonna have to learn through this self-improvement journey. Just because you feel hopeless, you have a lack of options, doesn't mean that that's the reality. And you know that as well, right? You know you can change your life, you can change, you can pivot. But most people don't pivot. They just sink into that feeling deeper and deeper, just like I did for I don't even know how many years, until I decided to change my life and get rid of my depression in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Best decision I made in my life, I'd say, that I chose to change even when I felt like I couldn't. I gave it a chance, and I am leagues above the person that I used to be. I didn't even think I could call myself a person. I was like a gremlin hiding in his man cave. his man bed, in his man bed playing playing Destiny 2 all day, 4,500 hours in just 2 years. The point I'm trying to make is that if you do feel hopeless, just take a moment to breathe and relax with me right now. Take a moment to fully assess what's going on right now. The reason you feel hopeless is because you don't feel like you have many options to go forward. Maybe the thing that you're doing right now, whether that be your job, whether that be your career path, whether that be the school you're going to, whether that be some sort of, I don't know, business thing you're doing, and it's not going the way that you want it to. That hopeless feeling is, all it is you feel like you don't have any options. And that's so silly, right? Of course you have options. But then when you think about the hopeless feeling by itself, it's kind of hard to tackle. It's like, okay, why do I feel hopeless? It's so vague, right? It's like an emotion, like how do I tackle this emotion? But then you translate that feeling to, it's like, oh, I just don't feel like I have many options. This I can tackle. This problem, much more manageable, much more digestible compared to just feeling some vague hopelessness. You actually just feel like you don't have options, which is stupid, silly. And then on top of that, I do have options, but are you going to pursue those options? Or are you just going to pretend they don't exist and continue to go down the path? Maybe I'll grind another 4,500 hours in Destiny. Maybe I'll get to 10,000 hours playtime in Destiny, huh? Look, I can convince you. I can sit here and say all the words in the dictionary to try and convince you that you should take the path forward. You can try and take the first step. It's going to be so worth it. I can say whatever I want, but the only thing that's holding you back is you. As much as you can convince yourself that it's some other person, it's your environment, it's this or that, you are the only person holding yourself back. That hopeless feeling you feel, imagine if you got rid of that feeling. How much more money would you make? How much happier would you make your family? You can retire your dad, or you can retire your mom who's working hard all day. You can finally meet that friend group that you wouldn't be able to meet before because you were too depressed. Now you can actually make that good friend group, brothers, that you'll keep for the rest of your life. You'll be able to quit your job or don't go to the class that you don't want to go and do what you want whenever you want. All from just getting rid of that hopeless feeling. Do it. Take action.